This is a continuation of the series in which I detail the inside of a single body, which I've brought into a file and it split up into multiple bodies. So this is a multi-body part file. So in this one, I will be showing you how to bring items in, like the battery and the screws, how to construct an item within the file, a new part, how to explode the view, and then the logo I'll show you in a separate video. All right, so let's do a quick reminder of how far I'd gotten. I'm going to section this view so that you can see. So I'd put in the locating bosses. That's the screw boss, and that's the head boss. That's the screw boss. These are locating pins. And then what I hadn't shown you is just how to give that a fillet. That fillet's quite small, I think a 0.8 or something. So yours might need to be quite small as well. All right, so that's as far as we've gotten. And what you can do inside a multi-body part is you can do pretty much the same as what you can do in an assembly. So for instance, I can isolate just this item, which is what I want to do. And I'm going to put a rib in, and then a series of ribs, and then I'll bring the batteries in, and then the screws, and then we'll finish off with how to explode. So to get to the rib, I would like a sketch on the front plane. Let's just see where I am. The right plane. Okay, and here's a center line to locate items, and then I'm going to use this command here, dynamic mirror. Select that item, and I'm going to place my sketch out of the way so that I can see what I'm sketching, and then I can just locate it a little bit later using dimensions. So let's make that about 4. So let's make that about 30. I'm deliberately trying to make these not correct so that I can show you just how I would go about adjusting them after we brought the battery in. So this should be about 4 as well. Let's see what that does. That seems to be right. I'm going to leave it as it is. And so there's our sketch. With the sketch, we can make a rib. So let's go to the rib feature, select that item there. You can see Solidworks immediately gives us sort of a double-sided rib, which is going to go down to that base like that. Let's make this 0.9 because that's 70 or 67% of the root thickness of the wall, which is 1.4. Going to make that 1 degree at wall interference. I hope I'm not going too fast, but we've been through this before, so there we go. So there's our rib, and I want 2 more ribs, so I'm going to use that same sketch-driven pattern trick which I showed you last time. Let's go to the top plane, put a sketch on it, and then I'm going to put a midpoint line from the side, something like that, and then dimension this so that I can adjust this afterwards. So let's make it 55. I know for a fact that that's too large. What you got to be careful of here is when I put this line in, Solidworks actually put a point in the middle. That point's going to create problems if you don't get rid of it. So get rid of it, and then you might have to relocate that line to be centered with that item. Then put 2 points in on the ends, and they should go turn black. If they don't, just relocate them. That seems to be right. Oh, I know what's going on. We need to get that located around the center point. So let's drag a center line out, and with that selected, 1, 2, 3, make them symmetric. Okay, so now it's fully defined. So I can use that sketch to get more ribs for free, as it were. So let's go to the sketch-driven pattern, select the sketch, make sure there are only 2 points in here. I can see only 2 points. Then the features, I want to duplicate all those, and bingo, we've got 2 ribs. So we've got 3 ribs all in all. Ooh, this one seems not to have placed correctly. So that's because it's interfering with that item there. We'll fix that up a little bit later. Okay, so I need to put the feet in, and I want to construct the feet from within the multi-body part, and I want to do that by using the surface as the basis. At the moment, of course, that's a problem because the surface is cut off by that boss, right? So all you do is you go back to where the most logical point would be just after the shell. We could go earlier, but that's going to create problems. So right click on here and say roll back. All right, so now we're at the shell stage, and that means I can select the surface and I can proceed from there. Okay, so I'm going to offset the surface and I'm going to select this surface. It only needs to be a very small amount, 0.2. It's about the thickness of the glue that would be applied to it. So there we go. So now I have a separate item. You can see in the surface bodies, there's that item there. So there's solid bodies and there's a surface body. And I'm going to use that surface to thicken. So if I click on this thicken command, you see currently it says 10 millimeters. You can go in either direction or one direction, but we need to go just the top direction. Make it about 1.4. Or check to see if it's the right height, but mine's 1.4. Say okay. Oh, okay. Before we did that, let's just go back. Make sure that this merge result is not selected. Okay, if it is selected, you're going to get two bodies. In this case, it deselected it because nothing's touching. So this should be a separate body. There it is. It's thickened as a separate body. So I want to do something to this. So I'm going to isolate that. And I want to add, under features, I want to add a draft and also some fillets. So I'm going to draft from that face. Normally, you default to parting line. Just go to neutral plane. At the bottom here, select outer faces. It just selects the whole lot. Make sure the arrow faces at the bottom, and then the degree, whatever you want it to be. Mine's at 1. Say OK, and we're done. Right, so then I'll select the two faces. And then put a fillet on them of about 0.2 millimeters. That's good enough. And then I can exit isolate. So you can see I've got 1 foot. I need another foot. So I'm going to say, let's mirror. The mirror face will be the front face. And then you make sure you're on bodies to mirror, not face, not features. And you say, okay. And there we go. We have our 2 feet in place. So if I scroll down to the bottom and, oops, we don't need the very last one. No, those are fine. There we go. The next step is to bring a part in from outside. This is very simple. You go to insert and you say part. So under insert, everything that is available can be done within a multi-body part. So I'm going to put a part in. I'm going to find my battery, which is over here. And we're going to do the locate part with move copy feature. And so just get this sort of lined up somewhere above the item. So it's going to be easy to do this. Say yes. Okay, and I'm going to leave the planes visible for now because I'm going to use them in a while. And last time I showed you how to use the translate rotate mode. This time I'm going to use the constraint. So I'm going to use coincident. And this is going to be a little bit awkward because I've placed this in the wrong, sort of off to one side. But I want that bottom plane of the battery to line up with the top plane of the bottom of the rib and say okay. So they are now lined up. And then don't say okay, say add. All right, you might have to select 2 items first. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, give us the front plane of the main item with the front plane of that one there and make them coincident. Say add. And then we're going to do the same thing again with the right plane and get that out the way, the right plane. And we'll say add and then say okay. Right, so that puts the battery exactly where I want it to be. I don't need these planes anymore, so I'm just going to hide them. And I can see the rib the ribs are incorrect because that's too short, you can see. So first thing to do is just to measure the sides of this battery. 35.936. So if I go to 36, that would be perfect. So at the moment, I'm not going to be able to get to that point there. Let's see if I can double click on this. Nope, can't do that. So I'm going to need to exit isolate and then re-isolate this one here. Isolate, there we go. And then just double click on this center piece. And let's change that to 36. It should do it. And then the second thing we want to do is we want to get these to come inwards a bit. So let's just double click on one of these or that one there. And then 55. Let's make it 45 and see what happens. See now that rib is corrected because it is no longer interfering with this little rib over here. And let's exit isolate. So apologies, I didn't have my key display on. I've put it on now, but I don't think you've missed too much. Let's just see where we're at. Section view. Okay, so, oh, right, the ribs seem to be in place about right, but I need to create a cutout now for this little tab. Okay, so I'm going to isolate that one, and where's the battery? That one there. See if we can isolate just those two. Isolate. There we go. Okay, so I need to get a gap on this last rib. So I'm going to measure. That is 10 millimeters across, and then select the edge. Right, 0.38. So that's the depth. It appears to be. That's that one there, 0.38. So I need to go 0.4 down. If we go a bit larger, that's also good. So let's hide this one, and we'll just hide it. Okay. So on the front plane, I think it is. Nope, it's the right plane. I'll place a sketch. And I want a section view just to see where I'm going. And then I'm going to put in a center-based rectangle, which I can now type in. So what would that be? 1.9 tab 10.2 should do it. And that's fully located already. It's gone around the center point. Great. Out we go. Okay, so I want to use that sketch there to slice through here. So I will use the extruded cut, and I'm simply going to offset here by about 25 millimeters. Yeah, that's good. And then that's going in the right direction. Could leave it as it is, in fact. But you could say up to next. That's going the wrong way, the other way. That might create a problem. So let's go with blind. Go in the opposite direction, 10 millimeters. It does it. Okay, so there we go. So let's exit isolate, and then get these two isolated again, just to see what's happening. And there we go. Slice through the correct part of it. So that little tab, that represents the sort of connecting ribbon of the battery. I don't know what thickness it actually is, but I just put it in just to add another sort of layer to things we can solve within this environment. So the next thing I want to do is I want to bring the screws in. I'm going to hide this one, and I'm going to leave this as it is, and then we will do the insert part command again and select the screw. It's this one here, M3x5 Phillips. And again, we want to locate the parts with the move copy feature, sort of drop it in somewhere above so you can see what's going on. The template, just say yes to that. Okay, so there it is. And so now we're into the mate settings, and I want that face there to be coincident with one of these bosses. So I just want to make sure that I don't choose the boss which has the sketch on it. There's the sketch. So I want it to be coincident with that one. It's done it. It's because it's off to one side. You don't see it. And then I'm going to add a constraint. Might need to select the items first, so not the plane. Nope. That one there, that face, I want to be concentric with that one. And there we go, it's done it. So add that in and say yes. So that's my screw in place. And because I don't like all of these planes, I'm just going to select them all and hide them. And so I don't need to bring this in again. I can just do a pattern, sketch-driven pattern. I can use that command. So the pattern I want to use is this one, which I used for locating the actual boss. And then this time you can't use features and faces. You have to use bodies because it's a separate body. So you select that body, puts it in place, and you say, okay, and you're done. So that's it. We've got the two screws, we've got the battery, we've got the ribs, we've got that part cut out. Last thing to show you is how to explode this view, and then to put the logo in will be a separate video. So I'm going to show all of these, or just say exit isolate, so everything should be visible. So in the solid bodies, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different items. Oh, we're missing something. Sorry. Right, so we have to put the feet in. I forgot all about that. So I want to put, we've got a foot in here already. I just have to mirror it. Okay, so let's mirror that foot around. It should be the front. So features to mirror won't work. You have to use bodies again because it's a separate body, you remember. And there we go. We've got our 2 feet in place. And so exploding is very simple. Just have to make sure that your tree is completely at the bottom. Nothing's hidden, so nothing like the mirror. I think if I try explode now, it won't work. It won't show me. You see there's no explode view available. So your tree has to be fully expanded before you can use the explode tool. So you can go from here, or you can go from the insert tool, exploded view. And then you are familiar with this. You just use the triad to drag the parts up or down as you need. So you can select multiple parts, multiple bodies, drag them down. And that's an exploded view which can be used in a sketch. So that's it for now. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.